I'm not in a singing mood today, Nick.
Okay, I'm sorry. What's happened?
Nothing. I'm just a bit tired, a bit hungover, a bit
Hungover. It's
cranky.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Wasn't it only a month ago we were talking about how great you felt when you weren't drinking and you cut alcohol right back?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I did say that, but that doesn't stop me from, you know, climbing into the devil's lounge. Oh, is that a saying? The
I
devil's
think you need
lounge.
to drink more. I think you're
I
in a middle
think,
ground here where this is not going to work. You either need to get another drink in you and fast, or we need to get you right back to sober somehow.
well, yeah, I have been told historically that I have commitment issues, so maybe I should commit to drinking.
I mean, arguably that's the one relationship you've fostered for as long as I can remember.
Yeah, dude. Still going strong.
Still going strong. How you been? Are you good?
I'm good. Did you hear that COVID's over?
I did hear that. Isn't that fantastic? There's just no more anywhere.
Just bizarre.
Yeah, it just disappeared like it was a intergalactic species, and they just all popped on the ships and went back to their home planet.
I think that's a good analogy, actually.
Yeah.
It was like one of those things in like Signs,
Yeah.
the movie, where they were just like they came out of the house and they were trying to sense if there were any more aliens left, and then it was like, oh, I guess the aliens have gone.
Yeah, they just disappeared.
And it's happened quite abruptly as well, because it was only not so long ago that we had, we were in lockdown.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, by the way, tonight you don't even have to wear a mask in a supermarket.
Yeah. So for context here, tell us what's happening in Melbourne now.
So as of we're recording on Thursday, as of 11:59 p.m. tonight, they're basically removing all restrictions.
Yeah.
No density requirements for hospitality venues. No masks unless in high-risk settings. No caps on how many people you can have at your house. Nothing.
So what is the current vaccination status of Victoria?
Almost 90%.
Right. And that's of the eligible population. So there are still
12 and over, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so 90% of 12 and over, right?
It's a lot of people, hey.
Yeah.
But then when you think
So
about
that's
it, like the
probably
population,
equivalent in Melbourne to the entirety of New Zealand, right? Because New Zealand's population is around 5 million. Melbourne's around 5 million, right?
yeah, 6 million.
Yeah, so the number of people vaccinated in Melbourne alone is probably equivalent to the number of people vaccinated in New Zealand.
But what about the hobbits? Are they eligible yet?
I think they're waiting on that because there's been sort of a slower rollout for different ages and things. And I fear, I know this is factually inaccurate, but I fear they've been lumped in with the kids, which is a little bit racist.
Yeah, it's absolutely racist. It's all bureaucratic bullshit. But I was thinking, like, 6 million population in Victoria, 10% of the population unvaccinated, still 600,000 people.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, how
So
many?
what?
There must be stats here we could look up. But I say, why look up facts when we could just amble and speculate our way through without.
Facts have never been my friend.
No. But I have to imagine some decent proportion of those are kids, right? A larger proportion of the unvaccinated population now has to be kids more than adults, surely.
Yeah, those anti-vax kids. You know,
Yeah, out there with the billboards.
they have been protesting pretty hard about another bill that they're trying to get passed
Right.
at the moment that will basically extend, I don't really know, but I think it would extend the state of emergency, which gives the government power to put in place restrictions.
Yeah.
But there was they've been it's kind of gearing towards like this, I mean, on a much less scale, but like the Capitol riots.
Yeah, right.
They're like, we're going to storm Parliament. There's like a truck. They're camping out overnight on the steps. There was like a Jeep that was towing a noose
Oh, God.
with like Dan Andrews on it. It's like full on.
Yeah, right.
I mean, Trump's got a lot to answer for. Like, he's
Where is this being
really.
whipped up though? Is this conservative talkback radio? Is this where that is all breeding, or is it like weird alt right Australia Reddit or like dark spaces sort of?
Well, I think what COVID has done and what Trump has had a part in is that it's not even mainstream media that's doing this because the internet is so.
It's a free for all.
Yeah, it's a free for all, but everyone has access to the internet. It means that these people can just go down rabbit holes. This is my hunch or my theory, that they can just go down rabbit holes, and YouTube's algorithm will just keep you going and watching more, and so you don't even need the mainstream media. And maybe the mainstream media in Australia is not even responsible for this shit. It's like the internet celebrities. They're like the anti-mainstream media celebrities that are on YouTube.
Even in Australia, like Australian celebrities or like American sentiment
Sorry,
and
the
American viewpoints of Australia's dictatorial stuff is actually percolated to Australians now as well.
Definitely.
Right.
And celebrities is probably, I mean, they're celebrities in their own
they're
world.
Influencers in the most literal sense, right?
Yeah. But when they had the big protests that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, I was watching those protests on they were using an app, and I was watching the protest from inside on a Twitch stream.
Mm-hmm.
And within that, this was being broadcast on the platform of these like so-called celebrities that are anti-mainstream media,
Yeah.
that are like the heroes of this movement. But I think there is a direct correlation between those guys and what is happening in the United States. And I think what Trump has done is validated the loonies, because before they were kind of in the shadows, they were kind of laughed at. But then Trump came in and he completely validated those guys. So now they think, oh, well, we've got a legit movement here. And now they're just walking around the streets like the cause is legitimate.
Yeah. It's must be quite surreal to see it in an Australian context, I think. Because that does feel so atypical in terms of Australian behavior, right? Australians being larrikin-esque, like self-deprecating, lazy, like very hard to get, say, a climate change walk or a gay rights parade, or like movement to show up at a Parliament House steps in typical Australian enthusiasms. So it is quite weird to see that kind of thing actually at all in an Australian context.
Yeah, but I guess it's it's kind of a numbers thing. Like, you only need, I mean, they're a very passionate bunch. To be very generous to them.
Yeah.
But they're a very passionate
bunch. A lot
bunch,
of enthusiasm.
So they don't, certainly very motivated. They don't represent.
It just reminds me of.
At all.
Sorry, it reminds me of, we were at a so we went for a road trip about a month ago and went to a cave system and did this cave tour underground up at sort of outside Nelson on the north tip of the South Island, and we were going on this tour, and there was maybe 8 of us on the tour, and one of them was a family, 2 parents and a kid. And before we went into the thing, the tour guide looked at everyone and was like, okay, so we're going into a cave system. It's very, very old, and the most important thing to do is not touch the rocks, because the oils on our fingers, that if you touch all the stalactites and the stalagmites, they start to die off and decay, and so we just don't touch anything. And then this kid, who was just an absolute fucking rebel, would go through and he was playing a game called How Many Precious Rocks Can I Touch? So he was just like, every time you were going up a step, walking things, he was picking rocks off of the ground and put them in his pocket. He was holding all of the stalagmites as he was walking past. And this guide, every 5 fucking minutes, would have to stop and say, okay, now remember the rules. Remember what we said. We're just looking, because it's very, very important that we don't touch them. And the parents were doing jack shit and doing nothing. And this kid was just running riot, and she was trying to explain things about, okay, so they're formed by, millions of years, the water droplets leave behind, and this kid would throw up his arm and scream questions at her right in the middle of the thing, and he'd be like talking over her, and she'd say, okay, it's listening time, it's listening time. These parents were doing absolutely nothing. And eventually she resorted to, I really appreciate your enthusiasm. I really like your interest. Like, it's very great how motivated you are. Like, it's very nice, but this is time for you to shh. This is shh time, which is just like the euphemistic, like, I love your enthusiasm for you're being an absolute fucking asshole. Cut it out. But this is the nicest way I can say it.
Did that work?
Absolutely not. The parents were looking around like, well, I don't know why he's doing this. I mean, and like the guide got to a certain point where she got down onto her hands and knees and says, okay, you need to stop touching things now. Otherwise, we're going to have to call the whole tour off and we're just going to leave because I can't trust you not to touch things, which is not a particularly mean telling off, but it needed to be done. And then she stood up and she looked at the parents who had done, again, jack fucking shit for this entire tour. And she goes, sorry, I hope that was all right. And it's like, yeah, we've all been wanting you to shut the shit up forever. But the parents acted like, well, I don't know. It's not really our responsibility if he goes around touching things. Like, if I'd been there as a kid touching those rocks as I went through, I would have got a smack. I would have got a smack 5 minutes in.
I was that kid, and I would have got one of those precious rocks to the head.
Yeah. Sorry, but you just reminded me of like, oh, he's very motivated. I love your passion. I love your passion. Shut the fuck up. You're a piece of shit.
Yeah, no. What I was saying, though, these protesters, they don't represent society at large, but because they are passionate and motivated, they get out there. So their presence seems to be more, they seem to have more of a presence relative to society than they actually do. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, they get more attention and more coverage than they are proportionately owed because 5.99 million people don't give a shit. But they're not out there on the streets saying we support the vaccine.
Well, that's right. It's like, I guess it's like giving bad reviews.
Yeah.
Like, people are more inclined to give bad reviews than good reviews.
Yeah, well, if the dumplings had been given to me straight away, I wouldn't have needed to jump on.
Fucking loser, though, dude. I mean, every time I see a bad Google review, I'm like, God, that person's a sad person, you know? I've been moving house, and we have had the worst the worst agent in history. Like, seriously, just like...
Coming or going? Leaving?
So we have just left her.
Yeah.
The worst landlord you could possibly imagine. Like, she wouldn't get back to emails. I gave notice to vacate. She didn't even acknowledge it for 2 weeks.
Yeah, wow.
Didn't even acknowledge it, and we had to, like, sort of think. And when we first moved in there, we had moved in all of our stuff, and then we were like, this agent's kind of acting a bit weird. Or she's kind of giving a few alarm bells that she was like a bit unprofessional. So we looked her up. 1.4 stars on Google. I've never even seen 1.4 stars on anything.
No. I didn't even realize you could give landlords fucking ratings.
It was the whole company, but then it was all of the comments were
awful.
Vanessa, this. Changing places, real estate. Everyone, don't get a house with them. They're the worst.
Welcome to Deep Thought, everyone. Thank you for being part of this. I like to think of it as a sort of a community of like-minded individuals. We're an audio podcast, but we speak through the medium of thought. And sitting through the internet with me, my friend Michael. Hey.
Hey. Hi, Nick. Hi, everyone. How are you?
Oh, great. Thank you. God, that's 2 times in a row. Have we turned a corner? Who knows? Oh, I've got nothing left to say. You've said my name. You said hello to me. That's all that we need in this segment. And for once in my life, there's just a burden lifted. God,
just get on with it, Nick.
Oh.
And I'm Nick. Hi. Yes. Okay. I get it.
No, that's the whole point of it. I have to do it. What are we talking about this week?
I was just gonna say I would hardly call 6 people a community.
hey, if it's enough to go bowling with. That's a community.
Oh, why do people keep talking to me about bowling? This is the second time
It's coming back. It's coming back.
Well, you wanted to talk about robots and why you don't think they should have babies.
You've conflated two topics, but it's quite possible. Yeah, I thought we've had one on the list from a long time ago, and I tried to look for who might have sent it in to us, and I don't know. But the topic posed to us was: would you vote for an AI government? Would you allow computers to run your democracy or make those kind of decisions for the society? Which I think is quite interesting. But I've also got a few like little bits and pieces of AI stuff floating around as well. So I thought maybe we could dive into that cyber space.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
What's AI?
Okay, well maybe we should do the other one then, because if I don't have to explain this, then oh boy.
Why don't you just start talking and I'll just work it out.
Okay, AI as in artificial intelligence, as in
artificial intelligence,
robots, and more to this point, algorithms and neural engines and that sort of thing, which are making decisions and interpreting data for scientific or medical or governmental or vehicle purposes. Like we're seeing AI crop up in a whole bunch of different places now.
Yeah.
So did you want to start at that big picture question submitted by someone, or did you want to go a little bit more granular first? I'm up to you.
Now let's go big pick and then go little dick.
Big pick, little dick. Story of your life. The best place to start, I think, is probably with that question as posed. Would you let a artificial intelligence run the government? Would you vote for an artificial intelligence run government, or do you think it's better with a human?
All right. Before I can answer that, can you paint a picture for me of what this might look like?
Okay. So currently, let's say we have a budget, like a national budget of $100 billion, say, coming in a year. These are made up numbers from our taxes. They're being paid, and that money gets dispersed into various services and things. So it could go into roads and infrastructure. It could go into the medical system, the healthcare, or aging population, schools, or back into business, through various tax breaks and that kind of thing. So those decisions are made by politicians on the basis of political ideologies, which people vote for. I'm a lefty, so I want investment in green energy and gay marriage and bestiality, the big three. And the conservatives want, religious doctrines and big business with no rules and straight people only, that kind of stuff, right? If that is the case, you as a citizen get the right to vote, you choose people, and then the people in power get to allocate those funds or enact the laws to make the country the way that you support. I think the hypothetical here is, okay, you, instead of allowing fallible humans to come in with their biases and prejudices and potential for corruption, potential for institutional excess, why don't you let computers do it all? Why don't you put artificial intelligence in charge of tackling the problem and I guess on paper end up with a more equitable result? I suppose that
runs the numbers, but then how does it determine who needs what the most and what priority? I mean, I guess we just program the algorithm, but then isn't the algorithm still a human projection?
Yeah, I think that is the core question or the core flaw of this hypothesis, right? It's someone still has to at least set up the algorithm, set it up to operate a certain way. So you are still potentially dealing with human biases in the way that it gets implemented.
Because the whole thing is priority. what are our priorities as a society?
Yeah.
So how is an AI gonna work out the priority?
I suppose it is better theoretically, like an AI might be, better theoretically at equanimity in making sure that um, everything is allotted fairly or equally, regardless of things like perhaps racial biases or gender biases when it comes to things like pay for government employees, or I mean that's probably been eradicated now, but like you might be able to avoid some cultural biases if it's all done automatically and by a computer.
Sure. But so if government should be a reflection of society, I mean, I like this idea off the bat. I like it off the bat. I just don't know how it's going to work. If the government should be a reflection of the culture or the society, so take, Australia for example, the government ideally would reflect the views of the majority of the population of Australia.
I
So
agree.
it would still be that we would vote. I guess maybe that's what it would be if the citizens of that nation voted, and then it would use, just say, 70% of the population of Australia wants gay bestiality with
Gay
homosexuals
bestiality.
gay bestiality to be legalized.
Yeah.
Then it would kind of bloop 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 bloop. It would compute that. That's a compute. That's a
Yeah.
modern computer.
Thank you for explaining. Yeah.
It would compute that based on, but then we'd have to like vote for each issue, which is not going to work because people don't give a shit. Because at the moment we just vote for one party and then we're like, we represent these issues. If we could vote on every issue, then it could work. But then we're still going to need to vote for like
Yeah.
some sort of party.
I think you're right. Like the concept should be still something that humans get a say in, right? But at that point, if you're voting for everything, then the AI is kind of superfluous. What you're really asking for there is just a standard government run by humans,
Yeah.
but one where the majority opinion wins, right?
Yes,
And that's not
which is just make it an electronic
yeah.
system. It's not an AI government.
There is a party which I think advocates for it. I forget the name of it in Australia. It's one of the minor parties. It may not be there every single election either, but one of the parties' policy is exactly that they will not take a position on any law that isn't supported or voted for by a majority of people in its party. So it is something like we'll come into power and then we'll be absolutely, it's like, it's not about us, it's not about me. I swear that I will take the majority vote on this, and you just log onto a poll and be like, should we vote yes for marijuana? Yes? Okay, I'll put in that vote then. So there is someone out there which has tried to make that kind of political system work, and they've, as far as I know, gained no traction whatsoever.
Well, it's an interesting concept, but they don't have any identity. I mean, who are the
That's
followers?
the thing, though. That's
who are gonna be.
It has to be the kind of tech bro, like nerd, neo-capitalist, neoliberal kind of that kind of sphere, I think, which likes the idea of that impartial tech-run majority rules kind of thing. But I think you've hit on something key there, which is that the idea of majority-run advocacy, the majority-run politics, is kind of incompatible with some of the broad sweeping changes that occasionally need to be made in order for society to progress. Whether that is defending the rights of minorities or taking big swings like we've got to commit to carbon zero by 2040 so that the planet lives. That's the kind of thing where a simple majority can never get over the line, but it takes a leader with charisma or a strong argument, a strong leadership style or political manner to make that case for people. And if you have an AI or a impartial, hands-off political party, they're never going to be able to make the case for something that hasn't already got there through other cultural popularity means, right?
Yeah. Well, look, the people, citizens don't necessarily know what is best for them.
Absolutely.
So if we are talking about an AI government, we're talking about an intelligence that can factor in everything, including things like, net zero by a certain, net zero targets, whatever. But then if it was like an AI government for Earth rather than like individual countries, that would make more sense, because then it could compute, people are going to have different opinions on how to govern or how to divvy up certain money. But the AI, if it could, and this is completely idealistic, factor in every single possible computation calculation and say, okay, this is the best outcome. This will provide the best outcome for the entire Earth.
But do you think that would actually be...
And that would be that white people have everything, which I think...
Oh, we do have an AI government already then. The
Nice, dude.
that
Very edgy.
Yeah, thank you. I every month I have to reapply for my woke badge, so I just need to get something like that on the record and make sure.
Oh, I love it when you joke about that.
The problem with that, and the reason why that seems actually less likely to result in positive outcomes for me, is that I think the geographic distance would make the sense of unfairness more pronounced for, say you're the US and you're all paying your taxes, right? And you live in your suburban houses and you're effectively rich by global standards, but you pay more or have to give up more of the international wealth so that Chad can get its, infrastructure bill through in Africa. The sense of resentment...
Hilarious name for a country.
Wonderful.
Chad.
The sense of resentment there, I think, has got to be much more pronounced, and the likelihood of that system being resented or seen as not delivering to the people regionally is likely to be much more pronounced than if it's applied nation to nation, I think. If it's one nation and you're at least closer on one end to the other, like the scale of the haves and haves not, the infrastructure needs, all of that kind of stuff is somewhat closer together than the top end of the globe and the bottom of the end of the globe, right? I just feel like you're probably more likely to at least go along with it if it's a more contained system.
Right. You're saying that certain countries would have a tough time giving things up?
I think that the people, the individual people, if you said to, Joe Blow in Nebraska that 80% of your taxes are being sent to Nigeria so that they can get a new highway, and you won't have as much resource going back into
highway.
Well, it's not, is probably the point. But going into your local community or even your nation, because you're already further ahead, then I think that's going to cause much more unrest than if it was a national system.
I agree in a practical sense, but also in an ideal sense, that's what we should be doing. The only reason why we don't think like that now, we don't think more on a global scale, or we feel like we can't relate to people who look different to us, is because we have evolved in tribes. It's just tribalism. So the ideal version of this is that we are all earthlings.
Yeah, if you can get to that point, I think that's great, right? If you can skip the 30 years and just get to the point where most of the world is now sort of on a level playing field and there's an AI government and everyone's kind of like living under our communist robot overlord, then that's kind of like a nice, better place than the world is in now, right? You can make those global choices so that you don't have climate change or you don't have the wealth disparities or food disparities and all that kind of stuff. You're probably better. But I think that interfering like 3 decades where an entire generation grows up where all of their hard work is being sent elsewhere in the world to lift up people that historically have not had that, I think it's going to be fucking... Yeah, you wouldn't want to live in those times.
Well, isn't that what we're doing with white men right now? I mean, a version of it. Like, it's like you've had it good for this long, you know?
But what are you taking away from white men at the moment?
Our fucking voice, dude. Our fucking freedom of speech. Our right to abuse women and or minorities.
Yeah, or sometimes both.
That's why I said and or.
Yeah, I skipped over the and in my head.
Do you think we'll ever get there? Ever? We need, and I've said this for a long time, and I've said it on this podcast, Nick. We need an alien invasion.
Or
we
a
just
meteor.
need one.
Yeah, just one
We need a
little alien invasion.
A little one, like a little scare.
Yeah. Like SARS, right? Before the world went like crazy with COVID, where it's all like, oh shit, this got real, this affects me. You just need a tiny little SARS equivalent, you know, of alien outbreaks where there's just like a little glimpse of it and everyone's like, oh, maybe we should take this seriously.
The Earth needs its own 9/11. You know how America came together? Like, they were more unified than ever, which is exactly what Dick Cheney and George Bush orchestrated. But like, they were never more unified than the months and the years following 9/11. We need a 9/11.
Yeah, again, this is one of those sentences. We need a 9/11. Michael Zabrecki, 2021. You're coming out. You're coming out
Cheers.
with a few for the record books here. Few episodes in a row now.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll
Might
okay.
not clip this one up though.
Yeah, we'll clip it out. Okay, let's
don't
get
clip it out. I said clip it up.
We'll clip it in multiple ways. This is let's jump into a little bit of other sort of tangential AI talk here because I feel like we're in the zone.
Yeah.
This was an interesting one from a while ago, which, oh my God, it's possibly more than 2 years old since it's been sitting in my notes, but I still find it interesting. So the title of this article is AI trained on old scientific papers makes discoveries that humans missed. So this is
Can you repeat that?
Sure. An AI trained on old scientific papers makes discoveries that humans missed.
Oh.
Scientists use machine learning to reveal new scientific knowledge hidden in old research papers. So using a learning algorithm, basically, AI has made completely new scientific discoveries. So a study published in Nature, researchers from a university used an algorithm to sift through scientific papers for connections humans had missed. Their algorithm spit out predictions for possible thermoelectric materials, which convert heat to energy and are used in many heating and cooling applications. The algorithm didn't know the definition of thermoelectric, so it received no training in material science. It just used word associations and then went through it was like imported with a bunch of data and then connected the dots between a huge variety of papers and made connections that scientists didn't. Sometimes it was doing what a researcher would do, which would be finding things that they could join the dots on. Other times it made cross-discipline associations. So the researchers trained the algorithm by assessing language in 3.3 million abstracts related to material science and ended up with a vocab of 500,000 words, and then fed it into this algorithm, trained the neural network, and then basically just using these words, it was able to understand concepts like the periodic table, the chemical structure of molecules, that sort of thing, find link concepts, join the dots there, basically learn science from the ground up. And then after showing the capacity to predict future materials, they went back in time, scrapping recent data, testing it on old papers, seeing if it could predict scientific discoveries before they happened. And again, the algorithm worked. So they looked back at the past, applied the model, and then found things that had been confirmed in later publications. So, one experiment, researchers analyzed papers published before 2009 and predicted one of the best modern-day thermoelectric materials 4 years before it was discovered in 2012. So this algorithm is completely unsupervised. It builds its own connections. You can use it for things like medical research or drug discovery and basically take all of the disparate, immense body of scientific research now and blend it all together and find things that humans haven't yet discovered from the work that humans have already done.
Wild. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, I just think that kind of place that we're in now, where we have the immense computing speed to do these kind of calculations and things, it's going to be pretty crazy, the kind of things that we're soon going to be able to do.
Oh, dude, by the time we're fucking like 60, it's gonna be crazy. But like we're gonna be still doing this podcast.
Yeah.
And we're going to be having some crazy conversations.
We'll be in holograms and virtual reality. We'll be in the metaverse probably. And
dude, we'll be in the same room online.
We'll be able to jerk each other off in person instead of just with our words.
We'll be able to milk each other. Have you heard about milking? I learned about milking the other day as a porn thing.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie. It's intriguing. Yeah, I like the concept. You're just like sitting in, like you're lying down in like a massage thing with a dick hole. It's like a glory hole, I guess. It's just a glory hole. But you're like lying face down, and then you get, I mean, the milking thing I get, but it's a bit too much, I think. The imagery is too harsh.
Okay.
But I like the concept.
Okay. Is this where you thought we'd get 40 minutes into the podcast?
No, and this is my point, though. This is what we'll be doing in 30 years' time with technology. We're going to be like, do you remember when we were doing this podcast 30 years ago? We were talking about fucking AI governments, and now we are being, we elected an AI government.
Yeah.
Did you ever really think? And yet we still have printers, which is weird.
Yeah, they still don't work, which is actually not weird. Entirely believable.
They're the one thing that just persisted somehow.
Yeah, they make it through.
But the thing is, I was going to say this as well, apart from the milking thing, that there's like an otherness to, we as humans, we have there's like a sense of otherness to AI, and we're experiencing that now even with like electric cars. Even if you can put away your personal or political bias to perfectly, decent billionaires, that there are electric cars happening that they're automated and they work, but we still feel that they aren't as good as us, even though they clearly are.
Well, okay, they're not though.
They are though, dude.
They're not. Like people have died in them all the time.
You know what else people die in all the time? E-scooters.
That's the worst possible analogy you could have thrown into that. Like something else driven by humans. What a
it felt too obvious to say. It felt too obvious to say cars.
Yeah.
But cars, people die in cars all the time. I mean, they're sweet. Also, you know what else is driven by AI? Planes. Okay?
Yeah, with humans in control still.
Well, I mean, yeah. But
Yeah.
that's what the AI cars are like. That's what the Tesla cars aren't they?
Yeah, but they're not completely self-controlled. They're not. They aren't perfect. They're nowhere near ready for mass rollout, I don't think. Well, it's interesting that you say that about the fears of AI, because this was something that you might have heard previously from a guy called Ted Chiang, who was a guest on the Ezra Klein show.
Okay. Bless you, dog. Bless you very much. Bless you.
No.
In advance. Bless you.
I decided I wasn't going to sneeze.
I'm going to give you 2 bless yous that you can cash in at a later date, but I'm not going to say it when you actually do it. You have to cash them in yourself. They're like gift vouchers.
Okay. But I could, like, do they expire today? Or could I hold on to them for a week or 2?
3 months.
3 months. Right. You might have heard this because you listened to a bit of Ezra Klein, maybe?
Yeah.
So this was comments on the fears of technology, fears of AI, and how they're potentially fears of capitalism. So this was writer Ted Chiang. I might just read this little excerpt.
I like.
I tend to think that most fears of AI are best understood as fears about capitalism. I think this is actually true of most fears about technology too. Most of our fears or anxieties are best understood as fears or anxieties about how capitalism will use it against us. And technology and capitalism have been so closely intertwined, it's actually hard to distinguish the two. Think about it this way. How much would we fear any technology, whether AI or some other? How much would you fear it if we lived in a world that was like Denmark, or the entire world was run on the principles of Scandinavian countries? Universal healthcare, childcare, free college, maybe UBI as well. Now, if the entire world operates according to those principles, how much do you worry about a new technology then? Probably much, much less than you do now. Most of the things you worry about under the mode of capitalism is things that are going to put people out of work, things that are going to make people's lives harder, things that corporations will see as a way to increase profits and reduce costs. It's not intrinsic to that technology. It's that that technology is being used in a system which is putting people out of work. It's capitalism wanting to reduce costs by laying people off. So it's not like that technology suddenly becomes benign, but maybe in a world where you have really strong social safety nets, you could evaluate the pros and cons of technology as a technology as opposed to seeing how capitalism is going to use it against it, how a giant corporation is going to use it to increase profits at our expense. So one of the unexamined assumptions in a lot of discussions about the inevitability...
Is this still you talking? Is this you talking?
This
or
is me reading
article?
still.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm summarizing a little bit. One of the unexamined assumptions in a lot of discussions about the inevitability of technological change and technology-induced unemployment is fundamentally capitalism and the fact we're unable to sort of question capitalism. We take it as an assumption it will always exist and never escape it. It's sort of the background radiation that we are all having to live with. So I just thought that was a really interesting sort of insight into the way that we interpret the arrival of new technologies and things like machine learning like that.
It's funny that it sounds like his take is that people's hesitation with technology and AI technology advancing is that they're worried that it's going to turn around and hurt us in the future. Whereas I thought people had just a distrust of it, like it wasn't up to scratch or that humans could do it better.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's both, right? There's the big picture kind of like the robots are going to take over, right? Like that's the kind of the complete far end spectrum of it where they've decided they know how to run the world better than us. But then there's the more practical, realistic side, which is how many supermarkets do you go to now where you have a bagger who stands at the end of the aisle and puts things in a bag for you, and how many are now more self-checkouts than they are human-run things, right? Like there is a certain point at which very basic tasks become cheaper and more affordable to do digitally than they do make sense to employ people, right? So that's also a very real thing. How many factories are now automated where it used to be humans? It's both, right?
Yeah. And I guess people also, maybe another fear that they have is that people have always feared AI taking their jobs, which is a genuine fear. And up until this point, historically, we've been able to, I assume people have been like, okay, well, we'll find other jobs. It's like tough to deal with at the start. It's kind of like the Uber taxi thing, I guess. But at a certain point, we're going to get to a point where A lot of the jobs are taken up. Like a lot of them. Like maybe most of them.
Yeah.
And maybe this is way down the track. And then what do we do then? Like, what do we do when people don't work anymore? What happens then? Do we lose our purpose?
Well,
Is that another fear that people have?
Well, that's that. I think we've touched on this quite a long time ago on this podcast, but there is that question of if people's jobs previously have been effectively cogs in the machine, not in a disparaging way, but like society has things to do and people have needs, and to get those needs done, other people need to do work, and so it all kind of fed on itself, right? If you get to a point where so much of that can be done by machines and you're not needed for a particularly mundane purpose, then if there is no social safety nets, you have a real economical and personal problem with what do people subsist on? How do they survive? But the flip side, as you say, is if you do and people can get by and get their food and live in their house and do what they want, then what do they do if there's not even options? Not in a question of are they bumming around or do they want to choose to work so they can earn more than just the basic income and still attain things beyond, the fundamentals. But what if there really is nothing there to do? It's quite an interesting place to end up.
There's going to be a lot more podcasts, that's for sure.
That's the thing.
I mean, the impulse is to predict that people will just go to their hobbies or give people more time to be creative, but not everyone's creative. I would say most people probably aren't. And for a lot of people, especially guys who are, tradies or what have you, got like real work. I mean, they I don't know what else. I mean, it gives those that I'm just isolating that one particular job kind of vague sector
Industry.
But like for those type of people, I feel like they're the ones that are going to be fucked because they're not that it's a bad thing, but they're like not. They're not creative. They're like their work. They're practically minded, and they're logistical, and their work is what they derive a lot of their value from.
Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, there will still be physical, practical work to do, right? Like it will take someone to lay a road, right? At least for a fair. Well, maybe not. Maybe that can become a big machine as well.
Yeah.
But it's, at a certain point, does it then become busy work effectively? Like, do you know that it's not really doing anything? You're not really contributing, but you're doing something. So you're sort of maintaining stuff just to maintain it.
Well, that's interesting. That's interesting because the other thing is not everyone really needs that like grand purpose for life. I mean, that's why we have social media coordinators, like they're not doing anything, but like they have like a job, or even like marketing people. I mean, they're doing something. They have convinced themselves not to shit on those people.
You're in comms.
I mean, I include myself in that. But they're jobs that don't really have any real, but there's no need for these jobs,
Yeah.
But I mean, we can convince ourselves that we are doing something. I mean, it's just convincing ourselves. Like these jobs, there's no necessity for them. They're luxury jobs.
Yeah, I mean,
So
it's almost like
it's not a big issue as we think it is.
It's almost like we've found a definition for it unintentionally in this past couple of years by working out what is literally an essential worker and what is not.
Yes.
Like we've kind of worked it out. People in the front lines, people in food production areas and medical facilities, and everyone else is at a second tier of necessity, right? And it's not to say that they don't help people, there aren't repercussions to their actions. But if it all was being taken care of by machines, you could probably stop doing that work and it wouldn't affect people.
Absolutely. And who knew the checkout chick that you didn't think anything of, or you looked down on maybe. She's on the front lines all of a sudden.
Maybe if an AI was running the government, she'd be getting paid 150K a year.
Sing it, sister. Are you a UBI guy?
Yeah, we've been through that discussion. Yeah.
Do you have a UTI?
I was thinking it, but then I didn't. I thought there's not going to be a way to elegantly put that in, and you just decided to say it outright.
I really massacred that.
Yeah, but that's okay. You're neither drunk nor sober, so it was bound to happen.
That's actually exactly what I am.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sitting through the internet with me this week. Nope, that's the wrong section.
The intro, Nick.
That's the intro. Okay, shall we get started?
Yeah.
That's the end of this podcast, or is it? ... Cliffhanger. See, watch this. They'll stick around still. If you've enjoyed the episode, then please feel free to check out others. There are plenty there, 171 others, in fact, and they're all riveting, and they all contain a secret code where if you can join all of it together, you'll unlock a special prize. So go back and listen to them. You can also find Facebook and Twitter and SoundCloud and Instagram and SoundCloud. We're only a couple of episodes away from our Christmas debuts, so keep an ear out for those, and check out our old songs from previous Christmassy jingles. And of course, you can always send us an email to deepfort@gmail.com with your questions, and we will read it out, even if we forget who sent it in or why. But we did it this time, so there you go.
Quick couple of shout outs that I missed last week.
Yeah.
Ben and Adele got married.
Yeah.
Well, you don't agree with the wedding?
I thought I still had a chance, but no, it's really, yeah,
It's happened, man.
it's happened.
Get over it.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Ben. And,
Congratulations, Ben and Adele. I wish I could have been
Adele.
there.
Yeah, weirdly, I got invited to the bachelor party and not the wedding. Is that weird, or is that?
Did you go to the
normal?
bachelor party?
No.
Well, that's probably why you didn't get invited to the wedding.
I mean, that's not how it works, is it? Is that a thing?
If you're not putting in the effort, mate, why'd you expect them to?
I mean, do you get the bachelor? The bachelor party was the night before the wedding. Is that when you got your invite?
It is a little odd now that you say it aloud.
Is it weird?
It is a bit weird.
don't
Maybe
know
they
if
just sent it to the wrong address. Maybe you were invited. No, they would have followed up, surely, if you hadn't RSVP'd.
I mean, I wouldn't have expected to be invited anyway.
Yeah.
But like, it was weird. I guess maybe the friends organized the bachelor party, but then even the friends, like, I don't know the
You'd
friends.
have to run the list past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a weird one.
Interesting.
So I didn't go out of spite to the bachelor party.
Yeah, fair
And
enough.
also out of border restrictions.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, the other shout out was Ben and Laura Kemp had a child, a second child.
Yeah.
Imogen Rose.
Well, I don't think you should name. Should we give him a fake name?
No, why? I mean, it's a child. It's a baby.
I know, but just a breach of privacy.
Why?
What if that child grows up and hears this and is, resentful? We could be sued.
Imogen, are you listening right now? Because I'm your father.
Okay, Ben, put the earphones on your on your weeks old child, please. Just stick them in, and now we've got a Ben's put the earphones on.
Baby. Ben, are the headphones on?
Are the headphones on? Put them on
Okay,
your newborn child. Here, Michael's got a message.
Now her real father's going to send her to sleep.
Okay.
Well, she can just play back this episode and maybe she'll fall asleep. No, congratulations, Ben.
Congrats, guys. I hope it's going well. Is that number 2?
Yeah, number twosies.
Yeah.
I mean, don't call it number 2 because that's poo, Nick.
Oh, oops.
And babies
Yeah.
are the opposite of poo, and that's a fact. I saw the Bond movie, by the way.
Yeah. What do you think?
What was going on? I had no idea.
Spoiler zone.
I mean, I couldn't spoil it if I wanted to. I had no idea what was going on.
Well, you
I was
can spoil the
confused.
end.
I don't even remember. I don't remember anything about it.
Did you see the Bond movie, or did you just have a dream and then wake up the next morning?
This is the thing about action movies. It's probably part of the reason why I don't like superhero movies. When it's so much action, I don't even know what's going on. Like, I'm like, who's angry at who and why? I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like, I seriously cannot follow what's
But
going on. And in this
we've started to discover that you actually are not good at retaining like any plot
narrative.
or narrative
No,
at all.
I'm not. It's
When
seriously only dialogue, dude.
do you know sincerely the number of people who reached out to me after you said on the show that you hadn't realized in good grief that there was a proposal? Like
Are you
multiple
serious?
people reached out to me and were like, that was weird that he didn't
Oh my
realize that
God.
happened, because it's
you
like
serious?
an active multiple people. There's like an
Wow.
active part of that show. Yeah.
Oh shit. I seriously cannot. I don't know characters' names. That's one.
Yeah, that's
All I-
okay.
The only thing that I can retain is like the relationships and dialogue.
Yeah.
Everything
And
else is just
visuals, right?
noise to me.
But like you could remember like a sound, and you can remember like a shot.
What is this?
If you're watching a movie, you remember like soundtrack,
Oh, right. Yeah.
and
yeah,
could
yeah.
you remember
No,
like
visual.
a shot, like a visual?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's,
But you just
I
can't
mean,
stitch it together.
I just, yeah, I can't join the dots. I'm like seriously like dyslexic or something. Like it
Movie
feels like,
dyslexic.
yeah, man, like narrative dyslexia or something. I really feel like in the Bond film, I was like, I mean, I love the idea of Bond. I did start to question if I actually did like Bond or I just like the idea of Bond, because I was like, oh, so excited for the film. But then throughout it, I was just like, oh, I don't even know. I seriously don't know what's going on.
I mean, a lot of that was predicated on the past 4 films worth of, because it was sort of serialized storytelling. Like it's the girlfriend from the last film. It's the connective tissue of Spectre, and the girlfriend, like the first love from like Vesper from Casino Royale is still referenced in this movie. So there is a lot of like backstory shit here, which it's playing off of.
You can't expect us to, remember references from like 8 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, some people would, but yeah. I did feel a bit that way as well, because I think Sean came with us to see it, and he hadn't seen any of the Daniel Craig films at all. Like, it wasn't that he'd seen them and forgotten them. He just came along. And I walked out of the film and was like, did that make any fucking sense to you whatsoever? Because it was so heavily predicated on, like, oh, this Jeffrey Wright character, he's been, like, a mainstay of the past 4 films, so this is why this means that,
Is he the blonde guy?
No, Jeffrey Wright is the black guy, the CIA agent, the American agent.
I have zero recollection of a black CIA agent.
Okay, sure.
Zero.
Yeah. Spoilers. We're doing spoilers. Did you think it was interesting that they killed him off at the end?
Killed who off?
James Bond.
Serious? What?
Did you see this movie? I'm not actually sure if you did see the movie.
Is this a joke?
It's not a joke.
You're fucking with
I'm
me.
not fucking with you. Are you fucking with me?
I swear to God, I'm not.
They kill him off. They blow him up in like a missile explosion.
No, he can't. How could he be dead?
They blow him up. He explodes on screen into a million fiery pieces, and then MI6 gets together at the end, and they pour a whiskey, and they all toast each other at the end, and they're like, "Oh, to James Bond, what a man, what a guy, he was kind of rapey and weird for a bit there, but whatever." Do you not remember this?
I genuinely, on your mother's life, have no idea that he died. I mean. I genuinely think this is a bit that you're doing.
100% true. The film is called No Time to Die.
Why would they kill... Oh, what about Tomorrow Never Dies?
Well, tomorrow it has now died.
Oh, that's clever, actually.
Yeah.
Is that what that means? No, why would they kill him off, though?
Because Daniel Craig's not coming back.
Yeah, but there's another Bond. There'll be another Bond.
Yeah, but that's the big question. That's what everyone's talking about. What are they going to do? Is it going to be James Bond again? Is it going to be they hand 007 over to a different character name? Like, what is it going to do? No one knows.
Come on. Just have James Bond.
It'll probably just be James Bond again, but a different guy. A different guy will be James Bond now. It'll be a reboot.
And by then they'll have the because James Bond evolves the technology evolves with the times, you see.
Yeah.
But then they'll be able to stitch him back together.
Yeah. We did see you get blown up by like a gigantic missile strike. But
But he'll just
yeah,
look like one of those old teddy bears.
we
that
put a
you
couple of
see.
band-aids on it.
Thanks. Who's the guy that does all the gear?
Q.
Q.
Yeah.
Thanks, Q.
I'm
That's fun.
now feeling like you should mention this to your psychologist because they might be able to offer some interesting insights.
Well, that's an interesting point. I was thinking of blowing off the psych because I think I'm done. I think I'm fixed. Yeah, I think I'm all good. I think I'm a perfect person now.
I think that's the first sign
no
that you need to
issues.
continue with a psychologist.
Yeah. No, that's actually a good point. Maybe I will, because I have brought up the. I initially wanted to get tested for ADD, but then he was like, "I'm a psychologist, not a psychiatrist." And I'm like, "How am I supposed to know that?"
I don't know what any of these words mean.
I don't fucking know what you're saying.
Yeah.
You sort it out. But yeah, it's weird that psychologists and psychiatrists they sound so close. I mean,
Yeah.
I know I'm an idiot, but like, choose a different name. Like, just do like schmiatrist or something.
What?
Like,
again,
make it
your comparative analogy is so ridiculous because you explicitly made the words rhyme. You just changed the initial letters. You did the one thing which you're trying to get away from, which is make it sound like the other thing.
It would help if it started with an S.
Yeah, if you put
Then
an
it would
S
help.
there, that'll definitely fix the problem. Schmitritis.
SPSY.
Spice.
I mean, you gotta remember an SPSY.
Yeah. Oh God. So the video game that I had been working on for a lot of last year and a little bit at the start of this year, Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1, just came out this week, and I just wanted to give a shout out to any of the game playing folks in our audience that if you're into detectives, mysteries and investigations and open world gameplay, that Sherlock is out on PS5 and Xbox Series X and PC, and soon to be last gen consoles as well. So get in it, because I wrote a lot of the main scenes and the cutscenes and the dialogue and everything in that game. So it's been very cool to see come out and have well reviewed for the story aspects, at least.
Yeah. Excited for that. Excited. I mean, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, you don't sound very excited, but I'll accept your congratulations.
I considered just faking it and just saying I played the game and then kind of giving it.
Knew that would immediately fall
and I was
apart.
like, I'm not going to be able to do this.
No.
But I'm proud of you, Nick.
Yeah,
I'm
thank
proud
you.
of
I thought I would just give it a shout out. I also have a Michael's MIFF. I got a tiny MIFF, and this is a fresh MIFF hot off the stove from earlier tonight. So I don't know if you got any other MIFFs you want to add to the mix, but I've just got a little.
Combine MIFFs.
Yeah.
Do you want to cross swords and combine MIFFs?
Okay. Shall we do a quickie MIFF?
Oh, I love a combined quick MIFF. Michael's MIFF. Annoyed, displeased, riled up, offended, aggrieved, irritated, chagrined, pissed off, put out, resentful, and big, discontented. Michael's MIFF.
All right. Would you like me to start off?
Yeah, should we go toe for toe?
I've only got one, but I'll put my one toe forward, and then you can fill out the rest of the foot.
Okay.
Of course, it'll be up to you to judge whether or not this is a regular MIFF, a mega MIFF, or a mini MIFF. So here's something that happened to me a little bit earlier. Pretty frustrated. Cooking, made some dinner, went and sat down for dinner, and just in case, I like to have a little bit of a security blanket with me in the form of a paper towel, just in case the hands get involved, but you're like touching other
Totally
things.
get it.
Need to have
I'm
it
a big
nearby.
napkin guy myself.
Yeah.
I'm a big napkin guy.
Yeah, gotta have one handy. Went to get some paper towel off the rack. Brand new roll, pretty exciting. You pull that attached piece right, off of the roll. Here's the myth, Michael.
Give me the myth. Myth
It
me,
got separate. I was trying to find the start, right? And it was a two-ply paper towel, and one layer had stuck and the other one came off, so I unwound, and then it was doing that thing where it's like it's off kilter, like you could technically break it, but it's actually the bottom of one sheet and the top of the next one, and they're side by side, and you're trying to like get around, then you're one half ply length ahead that's like the wrong length. Oh, just so irritating. And then you like just rip it. Ugh. I was miffed.
That's a solid myth, man. Like that's a medium myth, but
Okay,
that's a solid.
That's a
medium.
rego. That's right in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, we've all been there. I mean, the whole toilet paper / paper towel situation / tape.
Why do they even
situation,
glue it? Why do they stick the end one down?
Work something out. Like invent something.
Just let it be loose. Tuck it in. Tuck the edge in.
You know it's miffing all of us, and yet you've done nothing
Done.
however many years.
Yeah.
You know, no.
I thought that
it's a solid
myth,
man.
there was a period where I thought the future had arrived, early thousands, when they invented the paper towel tissue box, where you could just pull a single-use paper towel out. But you can't find them anymore. We were living in the future, and then the future said, it's not for you, and disappeared. We've regressed.
I can't wait for that documentary. Who killed the tissue box paper towel?
Yeah. Fucking... It hurts, man.
That's a solid myth, man.
Thank you.
I got a couple myself.
Yeah.
Okay. Starting off easy. Probably a mini myth, but you be the judge.
I will.
When people say,
Gladly.
instead of show business, they say this business we call show. I every time I like gag.
How often does this come up?
When I hear it, I hear it like maybe once every 3 months. Or
Is
maybe
it
once
on
every
like you're
6
watching
months.
YouTube videos, like chat shows,
It's always
or is it
actors.
like
It's
in
always
person?
actors or talk media personalities.
Okay.
This business we call show. I seriously, no matter how much I don't care about the actual person saying it, I just like I want to throw up. I hate it so much.
I think that's a mini myth, but I'm glad that you shared it.
I think it's a James. It's like I imagine James Corden saying it.
What? Yeah. Well, that definitely makes it a mega myth because he's fucking annoying as shit. What about if they said this business we call show? What if they added a bit of like stank to it? This business.
No, it's just the corniness of going show business. This business. Oh, I can't even. I genuinely can't even think about this. I need to move.
What about? Does it apply
on.
to other things? Like if it? Oh, that's been a funny business. If you said this business that we call funny, would that still great?
That would be funny. That would be funny. But I think it's usually done with like pretentious like actor types that are so full of themselves.
So it's also the personality delivering it.
Yeah, maybe. Just on that, just of things people say, again, probably a mini. But when people say it's been a minute,
okay, that one
rather than saying
seems...
it's been a while, it's been a minute.
Wait,
like,
what did you say? What did you say it was instead of?
Oh, so say we
instead
haven't
of
done a podcast
it's been a while.
Yeah. So say we haven't done a podcast in a while, I would say, it's been a minute, Nick. I mean, it's just shut up. Shut the fuck up.
I don't know. I don't think that's widespread enough.
People say it all the time. Maybe not.
I know people say it all the time. I mean, that I don't feel like that's going to relate to anyone. I don't think anyone else listening is going to be like, yep, get in the bin.
Here's my issue. Here's my issue with it. That people think it's a cool thing to say. I hate it when people think they're being cool.
Okay, this is now actually exploring. We've arrived at the deeper issue here, right? Which is you don't like people above their station, because it's true with the show business. It's you don't like people acting like they're pretentious, and this is what it's been a minute is, because you're projecting onto them that they think they're better than you because they said it differently.
Yeah. Correct. That's exactly what I'm getting at.
I think this is also why you didn't like when people hold hands in public. Because you also thought that they were like rubbing it in your face.
Yeah, now that you said it, all these myths could be just projections about my own personal issues. But
That's what the segment's about, right?
let's sidestep that for the moment.
Let's leave that.
I got two more myths. Do you have time for two more
Oh,
myths?
I've got all the time in the world for you, buddy.
That was so weird. The way you said that.
I was trying out buddy. Do you like
It's
it?
buddy, yeah. Maybe have you encountered this? Women in their 20s and 30s. I know we're getting gender specific. Always dangerous. But have you noticed this like kind of
Do you
fad?
know? Have you ever noticed how much I love and respect them?
How amazing they
How
are.
amazing they are.
No, but seriously, women in their 20s and 30s, it's like getting into astrology. Have you encountered this? Like, it's now
Yeah,
cool
I know
amongst
it's
women.
a thing.
It's like a trendy thing, but they'll say like, "Oh, you're such a Gemini for doing it." But like, I'm like, are you joking, or do you really think this? But then when they talk amongst themselves, they think it. So it's like this like fad. I think it's like a trend, but it's gender specific trend that just put it amongst women and amongst like kind of hipstery women.
Within
It's like
hipstery
kind of,
women.
it's tolerated. Yeah, that's in my experience.
Right.
It's like tolerated, and so now it's like cool, and it's like a fun thing.
Is it one of those
to-
things like where you started saying stupid because you thought it was a fun way to say it and then you just kept going because it sort of locked into your brain? Is it one of those things where you think people started, oh, I'm a Virgo, so I can't do that, and then it kind of just latched on?
Okay, thanks for that, but I mean it's not like that at all because that is just a comedic choice
That you can't not do now. Say stupid the correct way.
stupid.
Say stupid the correct.
I don't want to say it like that.
Say it the correct way.
No,
Prove
I
that
like-
prove that you can do it.
I can say stupid.
Yeah,
But
no, you still got it wrong.
I don't want to say
Stupid.
stupid. I don't want to say it the other way.
But
sounds
you're,
better.
You're starting to reinforce my point that you can't get out of it now.
It's a conscious choice that I can't help but not do.
Okay, too many negatives.
Okay. No, but the other thing with the astrology thing is that it's a belief system. Like they're like adopting a religion.
Yeah.
Although, can I say something about astrology? It's surprising.
Wait, I don't know if
it's
this is
surprisingly
Michael, I don't know if
accurate.
this is the space.
It's surprisingly accurate. Like, have you ever looked into like the? Do you reckon there could be something with astrology, but it's not like celestial?
Yeah.
Or have I just got sucked into my own fucking myth?
I've-
But there could be maybe something to do with like the seasons or something. But then it wouldn't apply to the northern hemisphere. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
a whole thing.
I mean,
But
I
think there's
feel
something
like
to it.
I feel like we've come full circle way back to an old seggies of ours where we just need you to give us some some astrology.
Was that a Segi?
Yeah,
Oh,
what did we call that?
dude, we should start a spreadsheet.
Oh,
With all of
people
our
are screaming it out. It had a name.
Do you remember impression of the week was
Impression of the week. We did a thing.
That was like the first seg.
It was.
And then it got, in your eyes, too, quote, racist.
No, I thought you were going to say too commercial. What
No,
was
when I
was
did
this-
Mama Juju, you were like, okay,
Yeah, Mama
enough's
Juju.
enough. We're going to pull it on the impression
Yeah.
of the week. It's not so much an impression.
No,
but a
that was the
characterization.
astrology. That was the astrology one. That's when
Oh,
we
it
stopped.
was.
But I can't remember.
so
What was that segment called?
I have no idea, dude. If you know, phone
It's killing me. Because there was there's a
Someone
big.
will email us in.
was a
if
big
you know it, seriously, can you email us?
I can remember what the topic was, because it was the big three: romance, finance, and ants.
yes.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
But I just don't remember what
And-
the. I don't remember what the
Yeah.
name of it was.
Another Segi in the dust. Thanks,
Another.
cancel culture.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right, I got one more
Final
myth.
myth.
I got one more myth.
Yeah.
Real quick myth. Okay, and this is probably a mini as well. But you know those shirts that have like the tassels on them that go like up on the arm? So say it's like a short sleeve shirt.
Uh-huh.
And it's got like a tassel that folds back and clicks in. It's like a loopy, like a
You don't
ribbony
mean a
thing.
tassel. Oh, you mean okay. So it's like it's a hem on the sleeve. It folds up, and then there's like a button and a loop which holds it into place.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
And it's often paired with like a shoulder, one of those as well, like kind of a military style. But here's the thing: only fucking losers wear those shirts. And no offense if you wear one of those shirts, but like I only ever see fucking absolute losers wearing those shirts.
Okay.
They look terrible.
So
But they also, again, they think they look cool, man.
Okay, so you're feeling
me.
You're resenting them because they're projecting a kind of militaristic authority that they haven't earned, and you don't respect someone just wearing something they haven't earned, right?
Exactly. Nick, do you take Medicare by any chance? Or do you take Cocktail? Because I am in love with this new arrangement that we have.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a psychiatrist, so
Very perfect. I hit 78 kilos, which was my goal weight.
Oh wow! Congrats.
That's 7 kilos that I lost in 2 months.
In 3 months.
But 2.5 essentially.
That's even more crazy.
I know.
So is it still you're not running every day still, or you are running every day?
I'm not even running. You know what it is? Intermittent fasting, I swear. I mean, I have no idea what it is, but I think it's intermittent fasting.
Probably all the food you're not eating. That would probably be it.
Eating twice a day.
Yeah, I got no idea what it is, but I've dropped down from 3 meals a day to 2 meals a day. But that's
it works, baby.
Yeah. Wow, congrats. So are you going to try and maintain here?
Well, so here's the thing. I tried to join a gym the other day, so I'm in a new area.
Yeah.
But I noticed your arms. I know I keep talking about this, but your arms. You look really buff. You look good. Fuck. It's so weird, dude, though. It's so weird. Okay, so I moved into a new area, but I'm only here for a couple of months, and I want to join a new gym. So I thought I still need to work out what's the best option here.
Yeah.
Anytime Fitness, as they have multiple. Like maybe you suggested this, or maybe when I called up, the guy on the phone did.
Yeah, I mean, I think you definitely asked which one I go to, and I had been with Anytime Fitness when I went to Melbourne, so I think I'd mentioned that I had the international access because of where I go currently. So it was probably in your head because of that.
So I'm trying to find a new gym, but I don't want to. All the gym contracts are, for 6, 12 months, or even if you go, I mean, month by month is ideal, but it's like a lot of money. So I tried to sign up for, I investigated with Anytime Fitness, and the guy immediately, I did this over the phone, the guy immediately booked me in for a session, like a talk.
A consult, yeah.
Consult. And I was like, I knew what they were doing. Like, I mean, this is like their whole model. Just get them in the building. And I knew it was happening, and I was like, you know what, fuck it. It sounds like the most viable option. But then I looked up their fees that they were listed not on their website but elsewhere, and I knew it was $100 sign up fee and a $50 or $70 card thing, and then you have to pay for a month up front or whatever. And I thought I'll be able to swindle this guy. I'll be able to get out of the sign up fee. And we sat down, and he was like, first of all, okay, we want to get a profile of your fitness right here. How much do you exercise? Blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
How much have you been exercising before lockdown, in lockdown? Do you drink? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, yeah, I like a drink myself. Yeah, he's doing that thing. He's like, you trying to relate? Mm-hmm. And I said to him, probably not as much as me. and he said, oh yeah, I'll probably see you around one of these pubs sometime. Still trying to relate. And I said to him, I'm not joking, I said to him, yeah, I like to drink by myself up in my room with the lights off. And he said, well, I probably won't see you there then.
Good for him. Good for him.
Know.
You were being such a problematic client, and he was doing his best, and, good for him. Rolling with the punches.
I could see his brain. So I could tell. I mean, I think
this is the level that you're assholeriness from historical times has descended to, right? Where it's not outwardly malignant, and it's not really insulting. It's just you're fucking with someone just for the sake of like a momentary endorphin hit of you being a smartass. And no one's gonna like go home crying about it, but no one's really gonna be like, oh, what a fun consult that was either.
I like to think it's evolved
Yeah.
to that. But no, you're right. And I think it's also like the bro thing. Like, I probably got a chip on my shoulder.
I mean, look, let's bring it back to the podcast. You were feeling a little bit like he was up on a pedestal. You wanted to bring him down to size. You couldn't do it physically, so you used your words.
Okay, can you stop psychoanalyzing me, dude? Like, this is...
What are you paying me for?
Anyway, he shows me up to the gym, and this is like so this set the tone for this like kind of character that I adopted for this consult. And he showed me up to the gym.
It's so
and
weird
he was like,
that you went to gym in a character.
it wasn't in character, but it was like a tone that I wanted to set, which was like the cavalier guy, like the guy that
I'm
really
better than this.
about
I
me.
don't need this. Win me over.
That's the guy. That's the guy. I wanted to be wined and dined because our mutual friend Andy Hanley gave me some fucked up advice. In hindsight, he said they want you.
Okay.
They want you. So just go in there with that knowledge, and then that this was like the mentality I was going in with to avoid this sign-up fee. But then I think I overshot it a little bit.
Yeah,
too much.
possibly.
So
when you go, I drink by myself in my room all night. I have no friends and no activities. I have nothing. I have no money. Please take pity on me. I can't do anything in my life. Alcohol is controlling me. I need something, anything. Get me out of this hole. Please. Please, I'm a loser. I've got nothing. Take pity on me, sir. Please. My life is in shambles. I have nothing.
I mean, it's a play.
It's a strong play.
It's a play.
Yeah.